Hi, y'all. It's Alex from Best Places, and you're about to watch Best Places social media manager Victoria interview David, a Best Places user. In the interview, they discuss David's experience living and working in New Orleans and Washington, D.C., and the differences between the two cities. I hope you enjoy.
If you could just give us your name and where you're currently living.
David Aaron, and living in New Orleans, Louisiana.
We just wanted to kind of know what about your experience living in New Orleans made you want to reach out to us for an interview.
Oh, well, it's just a lot of fun, which probably most people are not surprised about. We had way more fun than DC. You know, when I was in DC, I was back there a couple of months last summer, and there's all these protests and broken windows, and down here it's just much more mellow, and it was open a lot earlier, at least in part. I mean, it wasn't like unlimited, you know, there were limitations on occupancy in restaurants and stuff, and bars were closed completely for a while, but it opened up way earlier than DC. And I mean, people were mellower, and I mean, I never lived here before, I visited before. I mean, it's prettier, it's tropical. You know, I mean, it's not as much music. It's kind of a bummer. Like, not as much the festivals they normally have. They weren't really going on, but people just like hired bands and like played music outside their places, like right down the street. So, I mean, I'm in a neighborhood here. It's like in DC, I live a block from my office, so it's hard to compare. And then there are neighborhoods there too. I just didn't live in one. Like a, you know, a more residential neighborhood. I mean, so just super fun, like great weather in general, not in the summer, but you know, it's just been really fun.
Nice.
So,
Well, good. I'm glad you've been enjoying your time down there. Are you from DC or are you from somewhere else?
I was born in Connecticut, and I lived like
Okay.
4 places around Hartford, and then I moved to suburb New York City, and then New York City. So I first moved to DC in '96, and I lived there like 9 years. Um, and then I moved back to New York for 5 years, and I've been back in DC since 2010. So it's been a lot. It's actually the most time there, even more than New York now, I think, but not from there.
Okay. So a lot of East Coast, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. We actually interviewed someone the other day that he wasn't currently in Hartford, but had lived in Hartford for a while, I think for college. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Cool. Well, you covered my next question of where else you've lived. And you already mentioned some of the things that you like about living in New Orleans right now, the weather, the music, even though it's not the same as it usually is, and it's kind of more laid back than DC. Is there anything else about New Orleans that you really love and maybe were surprised about that you found from living there this year?
Well, I love I mean, I guess as I'm getting older, I can't drink as much as I used to, but I love that culture. I mean, it's people, you know, like to go out to bars and hang out in neighborhood places, and it's just friendly. And there are a lot of bike paths. I mean, not like everywhere, and then, you know, you can't go. I mean, with certain exceptions, you can't go for miles and miles and miles. Like it's on one street for a few miles, and then you got to connect to another one. But that was good. Like I put a lot of those together and went in all different places. And so I saw tons of parts of the city I hadn't seen before. And it's really pretty along the lakefront and along the Mississippi River. I went on both sides of the river. There's different long bike paths and nice views. And so that was new. Yeah. And what else? Also, as far as where I live, I also went to college in Michigan and grad school in Syracuse. So I lived in even more places.
Oh, awesome. Great. Well, thanks for mentioning those. Yeah, it sounds like a really nice community vibe down there. Plenty of bike paths if you're into biking, which is great. Perfect. Is there anything about New Orleans that you could maybe live without or wish were different?
Oh, Yeah, I guess the summer weather, I mean, it's not like DC is great. It's also hot and humid, but it's a little bit worse here. Although there is, like, a tropical breeze, but also that's another thing I could live without, like the hurricanes. I don't really want to stay for hurricane season. It wasn't so bad. We only got hit once, and it wasn't. I guess it wasn't that bad. It knocked a tree down, but it didn't really damage the house. Just some minor things. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of hurricanes.
I can't
Scary.
imagine most people are.
Yeah. Well, it was weird. My wife and some people on the street just went outside and they sat outside. It was like 100-mile-an-hour wind, but they said it didn't feel like it. But I was like, all right, you enjoy. I'm gonna stay inside here.
They got the front row seat to that, huh?
Yeah, it was weird.
Nice. Would you recommend living in New Orleans to someone else? Maybe someone who hasn't been there, or definitely someone who hasn't lived there before.
Oh yeah, it's without reservation. I mean, nothing's perfect, but it's been super fun. I mean, like I said, friendly people. There's a lot of musicians here and artists. And I live a block from the Jazz Fest fairgrounds, and it's just very artsy and really pretty, neat houses, cool architecture. Yeah, there are all kind of things. There's culture, there's sports too. I mean, not much of that going on before, because of COVID, but I think it's all coming back. So it's just really funky here. I like it.
Cool, great. So out of all the places that you've lived and the moves that you made, what felt like the biggest move for you? Whether that be the change in the two locations or the move itself?
Mhm. I guess probably moving out of New York the first time. I never really wanted to. Did I lose my job? I think I probably lost my job. No, I didn't, actually, not that time. Yeah, I did. I moved for a better job. But it was weird. Like, it was somewhat easier because my younger brother already lived there, so I crashed at his place, before I could figure out where I want to live. But just, it was such a big change not living in New York City. I mean, I moved there when I was 12, and I went away to school for college and grad school, but I guess I was just assuming I'd live there forever, and then DC's like, way more spread out and not as many tall buildings, and places weren't open as much, and then not as much delivery stuff, and just tons and tons of changes. But I got used to it. I got to like it and prefer it, actually, as I got older, and I don't need bars to be open till 4 a.m. It's it's just, I appreciate it. It's quieter in general. It's easier to get around. So it became better for me. I mean, there's a possibility I might go back to New York for a job, but I don't think so. I'm trying not to. I actually was trying to get my my government agency employer to let us do 100% telework. We have a union. They're actually trying to get that, negotiate that over time. So, if I stay with them, then it'd be great if I could stay down here, and just keep the party going, so to speak.
I hope that works out for you. I know we're just seeing the way that we work change, and there's no way things can go back to, everyone needs to be in office 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Like, if your job doesn't need it, why not do flex or remote? I think.
Yeah.
So I hope that works out for you.
Thank you.
Do you have any tips for people undertaking a similar move?
I guess, it was easy for me because my wife was already here, so it's just, that's where I'm going to live. But I guess it's good to go in advance and look around, check out different neighborhoods. Rent first, don't just buy unless you're these days, I guess people are desperate to buy a house somewhere and escape, but normally it's not so urgent. So and there's a lot of cool neighborhoods, like this is where I ended up, but I might want to be in some other ones. So it's good to just take some few days or a week, just see all different parts of where you want to move. So I had plenty of time to do that when I moved to my brother's in DC. He's actually in the suburb, and so I took my time looking around. And this last time I moved to DC, also, like, I knew the neighborhood already, but still I looked at a few different places. And so, gave me enough time to decide what I want. Yeah, so that's what I would suggest. I think people do
that's
that.
good advice.
Thanks.
Yeah. If they have the time to come ahead, to give themselves some time to check it out, get a feel for it.
Yeah.
So in relation to the move specifically, what about that experience would you say was either positive or negative?
Well, I really loved, what do you call it? I once got my employer to pay for the movers to pack my stuff too, because I don't know, I get really bogged down. I like look at all these items like, oh, I remember this. It's just takes too long. So it's much better if you can afford it or don't mind spending it, or someone paying for it, just to get movers to do the packing for you. It just makes things go much faster, and they do a good job. I mean, they pack it professionally, and I didn't really have any problems with anything they packed. So but did you ask it differently, like something I wouldn't do or something different? Did I answer the wrong question?
No, that was totally right. I was just like, if there was anything about the experience positive or negative, so it was kind of just a blanket question.
Okay.
And then I added on the, like, if there was anything you would do differently. But
Oh yeah, I mean, like, now I'm driving back. I mean, I did explore other ways. Like, my wife said, why don't you fly and ship your stuff? And I don't know, I should, probably, because it's a long drive. Like, it's 2 days. I mean, it's 16 hours. You could do it just straight through in theory, but I'm stopping halfway or so. But even that's a drag. And it's really because of my bike. Like, if I didn't, I mean, I checked out Amtrak. So I guess just investigate all the things. I still might try again. Like, they have like limited dimensions that they'll take for your bike. Like, I think they hang it from the back tire. So if it's too big, like, it'll stick out into the hallway or whatever. Anyway, I guess I should probably try to make it easier than driving all the way back, and just, I could pack up some boxes that won't fit. So I guess it's worth spending some time checking out different moving options instead of just, I mean, point A to point B with the car is easiest in some ways because you have everything immediately. But, I'm not a big fan of these huge long drives. So I'm kind of dreading that.
no, I'm sure you're not alone. Those, like, doing the long hauls, especially by yourself, but even with the added stress of, like, I'm doing a move while I do this, can be a lot. So yeah, you're right. There are other options depending on how much you're moving or how far away you're going. That's good advice. Thank you. So just two more questions if you have the time for it.
Sure.
How, since you have connected with us, I assume you've used Best Places website in some fashion, and we'd just like to hear how Best Places has helped you in any way.
I think, do you guys have like a cost of living calculator, or did you? Yeah, I think that's how I first heard about it. So I found that really helpful over the years when I was interviewing for jobs in different cities, because it's mostly, I mean, the difference in cost of living is pretty much like the taxes, state and local taxes, and real estate, whether you're renting or owning, and then you got like property tax. So trying to figure out all that, and like, I think the calculator was pretty good. It built all that in there. So that's it. But I guess also you have some articles about just where is good and like why. So I think about that for retirement more, because like for jobs it's pretty much going to be dictated. I mean, like, moving now is going to be dictated by whatever, like, if I can find a job somewhere else that I prefer. But I guess I would look a lot at your website for thinking about, I just read these articles just with general interest about retirement, because maybe we'll be in New Orleans, but maybe I don't want the whole year. So like, where else might be nice to spend the other half of the year? It's probably not going to be DC. So yeah, so those are the two main things: the calculator and just figuring out where else might be a good place to live for me.
Great. Oh, I'm glad those have been useful for you. Yeah, we have at least one article, but I think we have more than one on rankings of like best places to live in retirement. We have some that are more narrowed, like on a budget, like and stuff like that. Great. So is there anything that I didn't ask you and or bring up that you wanted to share with us before we sign off?
I don't think so. I just wanted to, give a big plug for New Orleans. It couldn't have really been a better experience for me. Like I knew the weather coming down, so it's, whatever. And it was, people are really nice. It's just a ton of things to do with museums, and I have a friend who has a horse, actually two. My wife's friend has a horse, and then I have a friend who has a horse, and they keep it like in the city limits on one side of the river or the other, and there's like a stable, and it's affordable. It's like, and then she rides it. One of them rides it like right along the neighborhood, right through the neighborhood. It's kind of it's like a throwback kind of place, and it's just in a great way. So yeah, can't say enough good things about New Orleans.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. You sold New Orleans on me really well. So it's been on my list of places to visit. I used to live right next to it over in Alabama. But yeah, we appreciate your time today and meeting with us. And I just wanted to reiterate that, so this has been recorded, and you'll be able to find the full clip on our YouTube channel if you don't already follow us. And then we may use portions of clips like as teaser videos on our social, like probably Instagram and possibly TikTok. So it may be edited for like length, but as far as your side of things and the content and things that you have said will not be skewed or altered in any way.
Neat.
And if you have any questions or any follow-up for us, you can always reach us at our email at social@bestplaces.net.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It was really fun.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. Have a good one.
Hope you enjoyed that interview. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell so you know when we upload new videos. You can also follow us on social to keep up with the team and what we're doing. All of those links will be plugged in the description. If you've ever lived in New Orleans or DC, leave a comment below telling us how you felt about the experience. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.